Hello and welcome back to the podcast We Are Selling. My name's Lee Woodward, the author of the Complete Salesperson course. Throughout this year, we've had some great interviews around the building of your lead generation, getting to 900 doors to get that return out of your data. And a lot of people set out to do this. Sometimes they make it happen. Most times they don't, and they don't stick with it long enough to reach this incredible number of 900. Yet today we've got a great interview as Andrew Bloom is going to speak to us from New South Wales. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Lee, thanks for having me again.
Yes, you've been on the program before when it was real estate hot topics many, many years ago. How long have you been in real estate?
Oh, it's just 10th year now, so starting to not be a rookie anymore.
Isn't that amazing? 10 years in real estate. Take us into your journey of the price update and what got you stimulated to reach the 900 mark. And just for our listener overseas, the price update is our digital door knock, and you've made some tweaks to yours and you've got your own way of doing it. But when we talk about claiming doors, this has been a great breakthrough in the last few years. But Andrew, take us into your story on it.
I think, I saw it at the Complete Salesperson course in October of 2022, and I thought it was a great way of just an additional layer of communication, and certainly being able to text something to somebody is probably the best cut through and one of the best open rates you'll get on communication. We all know that, email has its, pros and cons, and obviously same with just calling someone. But I think when I looked at it, what I liked about it most is that, we've all had that experience where we've driven past a property that we thought was, probably our property because they bought off us last time and it's on the market with someone else. And it never sits well with anyone. And then really at the end, you've only got yourself to blame and you know it. So that's not a good day when that happens. But I just thought, always looking for what's next and what I thought would work well. And that really resonated with me because I thought it was a nice, subtle way of keeping people up to date in a format that they're probably comfortable using, which is on their mobile phone.
Now, when you first saw the idea, did you jump at it straight away, or did you have to let it settle into your mind because you've got to commit to this? You can't just do it for a week or so. There is a commitment.
Yeah, you're right. I jumped at it straight away in my mind when we were at the Complete Salesperson course. I pretty much just circled that and said, right, that's something I'm going to tackle. You are right. It is a commitment. It's easy the idea. I think there's a time and a place for it too with an agent. I think if you're just starting out, it's probably maybe something that you need to, have a few things in the back end, I guess, in your CRM and things like that. But once you're sort of up and running and you've got a database and you're talking to the community, I think then this is really another great layer that you can bolt on. But it is a commitment, absolutely.
So what's some of the things you've learned along the way in your road to 900?
I think being persistent. I gave myself a scorecard and pretty much had that as a KPI on my whiteboard in my office. Because that little bit of progression, from time to time was really good. So, you're obviously doing all the other things that we do in real estate, which we're paid to do, but having this in the background, there's always something to do, and there was always the next part to get to. But probably the biggest lesson, which I think, so whether you use it well or not, the one thing that's really important was that, it's a very powerful phone call because it's a reason to call. It's also something new, so you're explaining that to people. You're washing your database by making the phone call while calling your database, which is something that you should do. And you're getting better data, so you're improving. They're still there. What their names are still, how they're going, what they've been doing in life, how things are progressing with the house. If you know more about them, maybe getting a mobile number that you didn't have in order to send it. Just to improve that layering of communication. And then finally, the biggest one is that once you've done that, you are really, then they will get a text message in 3 months' time, and it becomes a compounding interest. It's a compounding thing that all the people you called 3 months ago are now also going to get a message, and you're calling a bunch of new people the next 3 months, so it's twice as good. and then so on and so on and so on. So it gets very good that way.
So, Andrew, a couple of observations here for our listener. One, you made the commitment. The price update's going to be connected to the data, but you didn't just send it. You used the opportunity to make that phone call to say you are going to be sending it, because otherwise people can think, is this spam? What is this? There's a link here. I don't want to click on it. So that's the first part. How many did you aim to get out a day when you were in this initial stage of, right, door one, price update number one, here we go? What was that time like?
I sort of broke it into months. So I found that on a sort of busier month when I didn't have a lot of time, I might only get 50 added. And on a good month when I was sort of a bit more focused in that area, I might get between 100 and 150. But I as I said, I wasn't trying to do it in 3 months. I think when I first sat down, I thought, oh yeah, if I just make 15 a day, I'll knock this over in 3 months. Well, that just wasn't realistic for the way I do what I do. So, but then I realised it was going to take me longer. But as I said, making those phone calls and getting that extra information and updating your level of connectability with your database is never a bad call. You can do that for the whole career, right? So I just found that I'll just do it at a steady pace. And as I said, once you're talking to them once that way, you continually to communicate. But you did talk to something before, so I did call them. I think that the thing that I thought would be maybe detrimental would be just to send it out to people automatically without even asking them. The value of ringing someone and asking permission was massive, absolutely massive. And I think you're claiming a space on their phone where they maybe won't block you because you did ask, versus if you just send it out to everyone. I mean, you could probably add that to everyone in 5 minutes, right? But then a lot of people would probably find that a bit rude.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, this job is about a communications plan. It's not a prospecting program. It's a communications program. Andrew, just give us a little sample of what that phone call is like, and I'll be the consumer. Ring, ring. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Lee. It's Andrew from Sanders. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. We haven't spoken in a little while, but I just have a little bit more of an update for you. We found a better way just to keep you informed with your suburb, if that's all right.
Yeah? What have you got?
So what we've been doing is, obviously, there's a lot of things changing in the world of how you receive information and emails and scams and things like that. We found this way where we're able to build a report that lets you know about the sales in your area. It's only 4 times a year, but I do text it from my phone to yours just to keep you up to date. If that's all right with you, Lee, I'll like to do that for you as when I send it out to everyone else in the street. And if it's okay, what I might do as well is if you don't mind if I share my contact card with you, you can save that in your phone. And when that text comes through in a few months' time and you've forgotten about this call, you remember it's just from me. It's safe to open. Would that be okay?
Yeah, mate, that sounds good. What's in this report?
So in the report, we just highlight all the sales that occurred in the last 3 months prior. So I know you can look at a lot of that information online, Lee, but what you will find is some of that's not disclosed. We're able to put a lot of that information back in there for you. So it just keeps you informed as to, how the other sales in the area are performing.
And how is the market?
At the moment, well, it depends on what you want to do in the market, really, doesn't it? So, if you're upsizing, there's going to be a strategy to that. If you're sea changing, that's a different strategy. So, there's something for everybody in the market, as there always is. What sort of plans do you have, Lee?
Yeah, Rob and I are rattling around in this big place, and we talk about downsizing, but, it's one of those things. What's the best way to do it?
Well, I think the best way to do it is I find a lot of people do have that. If you've been in your home, I know you have, Lee, for a long period of time, that downsize is probably the first time you've shifted your strategy, whereas in the past you've probably always been upsizing. So downsizing is a bit like trying on a leather shoe. It may feel a little bit tighter to start with, but there is a different approach to that. And often when people have been, entrenched in their family home for a long period of time, the uplifting and moving can seem a little daunting. So popping out and seeing you and having a look around the home and giving you a list of things that you might want to work on getting your home ready for sale, and also creating a list on things you may not need to do. I think there's both value in that meeting, and that might just help you get a bit of insight as to what the overall process looks like.
Sounds good. I'll let Rob know, and we'll come back to you with a time.
Excellent. Well, I'll send you through my contact card, Lee. Save that in your phone, and then we'll keep you up to date with the quarterly suburb results.
Out of dialogue, absolutely fantastic. Andrew, nice pace, just chat like you're at a barbecue, very relaxed. And just for our listener, especially for the UK, what type of property are you selling and where?
So I sell in the southern suburbs of Sydney, in the Sutherland Shire. Most of ours are family dwellings. They're on average 4 to 5 bedroom homes, some with pools, some without. Some are, 50, 60, 70 years old, looking to be remodeled. And other ones can be, only a few years old or brand new. And obviously there's a mixture of townhouses and also apartments mixed in with all that. So that's typically, and then you do get some waterfronts in our area as well. So yeah, quite a big mix of property. But the good thing is, I guess, in the suburbs that we work in, you're dealing with first home buyers all the way through right back down to downsizers again. So there's a full complete circle there.
Very good. And the average sale price for you, Andrew?
Probably about 1.5 million.
Very good. Now, that's an amazing area where you work, and that was an amazing phone call. Back to our claiming doors, the road to 900 here. So in steps, you're cleansing the data, very relaxed phone call. I'm going to share my contact card with you. It's coming out every 3 months. Now, you do get the notifications when they open it. Take us into how you've handled notifications.
I think, look, this will be something everyone probably sees differently. But from my point of view, I think you are, like you said, claiming a door, right? So you're asking permission to keep someone up to date with information. I think if you jump down their throat the second they do that, I think that will teach them that you're being a bit predatory. I think so. I like to see that they're opening it because it suggests to me that they're getting it and they've had a read of it. If they open it several times, that might mean, well, two things. One, they're having a problem with user error, or which I haven't experienced, but it could be. Or the other one is they've got some particular interest that they're after. Or they may have forwarded it on to a partner or someone else who's looking at it as well. So if I see a bit of a change in activity, then I'll probably find a reason to give them a call, usually a few days later, just to see if anything comes out of that phone call. But I don't think jumping on them and saying, I noticed you opened this would be a very wise move. I think people would be very hesitant to use it then. Yeah,
and one of the best follow-up phone calls is, hi, Andrew, it's Lee from Saunders. I sent you a link the other day with some surrounding sales. Did you receive it? And at least then you're checking, did it get through versus, I've seen you open it 7 times and, people do get concerned about scams and privacy like that, as they should. And that's another good way of following on. Andrew, what's been some of the observations or results that you feel you've got now as a professional agent by going through the road to 900?
I think definitely just obviously the value of data is huge. So just improving your database with that extra information and giving people that extra level of communication in a simple way on their phone when they're ready to use it. You might send it out on a Tuesday on that particular month, but they might not open it for 3 or 4 days, but they open it when they're ready. And I think that's a really important thing as well.
Very much so. And results coming back in, what have you noticed or what can you share with our listener of the results part?
Yeah, look, it does take time. I even spoke to you about it, when I was sort of halfway through this process. And I am finding that there's probably been 3 or 4 times where we've had, direct calls based on them opening it, maybe a week prior or even sometimes half an hour prior. But that's still early days, but also then, it's a lot of follow-up calls and conversations that occur out of making the phone call in the first place. So, I guess if you're out there talking to people for whatever reason it is, I mean, it's always going to be powerful. But I think, like I said, getting their mobile number, keeping them up to date, it's certainly a good way of staying in touch with them moving forward. So you're not just sort of repeating the process and starting all over again next year. You probably have other reasons to call them from then on, and it might be even more detailed, maybe about a specific sale that's very similar to theirs, which will make the phone call much more personal and help you grow that relationship as time goes on too.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I had a lot of people hit the price updates and in the first 3 months I didn't get any results out of that. I'm done. I went, you've completely missed the whole point here. This is a professional communications plan. We have to communicate but just ringing up and, hi, it's me, I'm just talking about nothing and do you want to talk is not good anymore. And I've said this on air that you can make that many phone calls now that you'll lose the business unless there's a connection and reason to what you're communicating.
Absolutely. I think being consistent with your people on your database is really important. So, if they do give you permission to send them a text, then sending it to them 10 times would be a big mistake. Do what you say you're going to do, and then people will respect you for that. I think you can always, being a digital platform as well for what it is, there's always room to improve it and make it look different and give it a different feel and add more things to it so that it becomes more valuable to consumers. So that might be another reasons to call, is to say, look, if there's anything we can add to it, what would you consider? So, and I've had one person say to me, oh, look, we've got investment property, so I wouldn't mind knowing about those areas as well. So I think adding an extra section into that price update that says if you're after another suburb, reach out and we can add you to that as well, where they can just pick and choose. That might be a good add-on as well. So just, I guess talking to people about, what their opinion of us well, I think will be a really good thing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And just for our listener that may have missed some of the earlier episodes of the podcast, it was a big pickup for me when I was at Realtair that many agents would be speaking to a buyer. The buyer would then say, oh, Andrew, thank you very much, but we bought on the weekend from another agent. And the agent would end the relationship versus, where did you buy? What number in Marshall Street? Number 12. At the end of this phone call, I'm going to shoot you a link to all the surrounding sales of that property. I'm going to update you every 3 months because you're now living right in the middle of my turf. I love Marshall Street. And if you ever want an assessment done, we can help you. But claim the door of the buyer who's just bought off somebody else. And as you mentioned, the investor's saying, oh, my daughter's got a property in that area. Can you do one for her as well? Every day, how many people can I put on the price update becomes your number one thought plan.
Absolutely. And it's, especially when someone's just bought off you as well, it's a really pleasant call. They're excited, telling you, you're going to keep them up to date with the suburb, even though there's no intent for them to move now. But as we all know, there's plenty of times where people who do buy, if you do move again, and like you said, if you don't claim that door, you might see someone else's sign out the front. So I think this is just another way of being professional. And as I said right back at the start, the big thing for me is that compounding interest. There is nothing better feeling than knowing that every 3 months, 900 text messages from you are going to go out to your core database while you're still doing everything else you do on top of that. That's hard to match.
How powerful. So every 3 months, 900 connections can be made because it is a connection. You've got the consent. You have the digital delivery system and they understand what it is coming through. So getting started, this first round is where the grind is, but then once you're live, and I love the word compounded interest, that it just keeps building and building and building, but you're building a better professional relationship. And even those people that bought off another agent and you're now doing their, and I'll just mention this point, I use the term price update because the template's called that, but you call it the suburb report. What do you do there?
We call it the neighbourhood update.
The neighbourhood update.
Calling it price update worried me in the sense of how I was using it, because I felt that we were using it more as a CMA. So by doing it as a neighbourhood update, if I had price update on there, someone might look at the sales in there and maybe link price update and sales that we put in there as a maybe a comparison to theirs. And that could go two ways, right? If people are busy, they might take the assumption you're saying this is what your home's worth, and that could cost you business in the future. So I think just subtly changing it and calling it a neighbourhood update, people understand exactly what they're getting and don't make assumptions. And then they can just look in there and see, as a curiosity point of view, as what's going on around them. And I think that's, and again, it makes it, a lot more subtle, and people are quite happy with that information.
Well, Andrew, firstly, congratulations on reaching the 900. That's a big commitment. And you've done that. And when that text came through to me the other day, I was like, wow, look at that. The road to 900. We have to get you on the show. But also congratulations on 10 years in real estate. I remember your first day because most people are sent to the Complete Salesperson course at some point. And when you're starting out, it just blows your mind how much there is to know. because, and you came from the audio-visual industry, you were doing high-end cinemas and stereos in property, so you were in an interesting part of the property market. But what are you passionate about now moving forward? You're 10 years, which is a huge milestone. What's Andrew Bloom's focus from here on in?
From moving forward, I mean, I do like the process of improving. I think it's a really positive thing mentally as well. You know, it gives you that challenge to what's next, how to improve, what can we do that's better. So training, you know, with people like yourself is great because, you know, that's always refreshing and that's fantastic. But I'm certainly I really enjoy the process of improving my team, you know, growing my team, and just getting better at doing what I do. And I think, and there's so much room for that. I think it's probably a never-ending story, that, but I guess that's what makes it interesting. So, yeah, there's no real particular set KPIs other than certain personal goals around, you know, numbers I'd like to reach. But I think a lot of those goals will happen based on stacking these improvements up, you know, one after the other.
And what is your team? Because you're not a selling principal, you're a sales professional, but what's your team structure?
So at the moment, we have some sales support people in the business as well. So I have myself in the team. I also have Taylor, who works for me. She's going to very soon move into a leverage agent role, but she's filling in at the moment because Kirsten's on maternity leave. But it was an interesting time because Kirsten wanted to obviously then take a maternity leave, but then only come back in a 3-day-a-week capacity. But that's probably been the assistance that I've needed to be able to then add on a leverage agent, and Taylor then turned up, and you know, we had a good chat around what she could do. And ironically, you know, she works for, her father owns another real estate brand, so a lot of people didn't want to hire her based on that, whereas I thought that would be great because she obviously knew what she was getting into, and she's been fantastic as well. So I think she'll move into that leverage agent role, and Kirsten will be still doing what she did before in the administration role. So it should be really exciting for next year.
Now, Andrew, everyone's got their little template, but you've gone to that extra moment and popped your video in there. What are you doing with that?
Well, we just thought that it'd be a good opportunity while we're sending out some quarterly information. Because it's a digital format, you do have some flexibility around what template you use. I've got a YouTube channel for work, so I'm able to produce some videos of points of interest around topics, just like you said, like real estate snacks, just little interviews about a particular topic. So we're able to build those and then also put them into the enabled update as well. And that way, when people are scrolling through, you know, they're seeing prices, but there might be something that catches their attention around the subject, and they might get more out of it. So it just felt like, again, it adds more value to what we're sending.
Absolutely love it. And they also feel like they're meeting you because they're following you, and you've really just taken the price update to another level now because they're seeing you in a multimedia, three-dimensional way.
Oh, definitely. I think it's like anything, like, you know, we've talked about people before on other podcasts and other channels that we both follow. And I think, you know, just watching stuff that they teach you, I think it definitely does help you. It doesn't hurt your brand in any way, you know, so.
Absolutely fantastic and great to have you back on the program. And also, thank you for just sharing the road to 900. There's a lot of people listen to that first part of claiming doors, or they're at the Complete Salesperson course, but to actually hear what someone says on the phone, the approach you've taken, the name change of the neighbourhood update, absolutely amazing. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Lee. Thanks for having me again.